Theatre Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation.
From New York City, this is Theatre Talk. I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
I'm the producer, Susan Haskins.
We like to have theater critics and columnists on the show from time to time to give us a sense of what's happening on Broadway. Tonight we have a special treat for you, though. Two guys who've come quite a ways away to check out the theater scene in New York. We want to welcome to Theatre Talk Baz Bamigboye, the mega columnist from the Daily Mail. It's got to be the most widely read column in England, I think, Baz.
Well, yeah, my wife says it is.
And to my mind, the best theater critic in London, Charles Spencer of the Daily Telegraph. Welcome back to Theatre Talk.
Thanks very much, Mike.
And welcome to New York, guys.
Thank you.
All right, now you came over to cover the opening of Billy Elliot here on Broadway. It began, I think, what, 4 or 5 years ago?
3.5.
3.5 years ago.
But it was a movie before that.
A movie before that, right. You were at the opening, the glamorous opening night. Is Billy Elliot as good here in New York as it was in London, Charlie?
I think it is. It's less sort of specific. It's lost slightly the detail of that northern community, I think, didn't you, Baz? It's like, but they've still got the it's still very gritty. They haven't watered it down at all.
No. My biggest fear, in fact, was that it would be full of what I call Broadway glitz, and it would obscure the sort of the rawness and the tragedy of this community that was losing its welfare.
We should just say Billy Elliot is set in a mining town in the north of England that's under assault from the Thatcher government. Is trying to break the trade unions.
The big miners' strike, yes, which is probably the most divisive moment since the Second World War in our country.
Yeah, it's a very major piece of political and social history in our country, and even people of the opposite political divide were sort of very sympathetic towards the miners. And what Stephen Daldry, the director, has done is to sort of really bring politics and community into the show. And sing about it, and dance about it.
But it has lost some of its authenticity, you think, a little bit?
No, I wouldn't say authenticity. There's a bit where those dressers start dancing, and it's suddenly a bit like Disney, which I don't remember in the London production. Do you remember that? When they
have added a bit more oomph to it, and they did that in Sydney, because I saw the show in Sydney, Australia, actually. Right. But that's the pantomime aspect. Yeah. But the essential Billy Elliot is still there, the rawness is there.
And the humanity of it and the hope. And no, it's beautiful. I mean, it really is. I was I've seen it twice in London, and so this is the third time I've seen it, and I was in floods of tears again. There's something about it. It's the relationship of the boy with both his dead mother and his living father is just cuts to the quick, I think. And the kid we saw was really fantastic.
Yeah, Trent. But I also think, I tell you, it's also a great time in your history, American history. I mean, you know, it epitomises essentially the American dream. You know, Barack Obama came from nowhere. Now he's the president-elect of your country.
Right.
And also the sort of the generosity of spirit that your country has.
At a time when a community is in trouble economically, as our entire country seems to be.
Precisely.
No, it's really found its moment, actually, in a way that it didn't quite in London 3.5 years ago, where everything was booming. And so actually what it's got that mixture of economic depression, but also a kind of hope, which is exactly where you're at the moment. And it couldn't be better. It's typical of Daldry to do that, I think. He's just got this kind of...
it's this brilliant combination of the political and the sort of the song and dance. You know, there's a great number staged by Peter Darling, choreographer, called Solidarity.
Yeah, one of the best musical numbers I've ever seen.
You've got the striking miners, there's the vicious cops, and the little ballet girls, and all
coming together.
All combined.
It's interesting about dance, though, because this is the only British musical I can think of where dance is key. Because for a long time, the shows we were getting from you were the Andrew Lloyd Webber, Cameron McIntosh shows.
Was a dance show.
Well,
I mean, that was more.
It was more.
Was it a show, Charles?
Come on! It ran for 21 years. It ran for 20 years without
that was kind of
everyone from out of town saw it. But, you know,
I think what's really significant about this show is it's the first real the first real original British musical that's come over here since those days in the 80s. And it's been that long.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's Mamma Mia, but that was a compilation show.
And when you think about it, Charles, it's the first show sort of made in Britain, as it were.
Yeah.
You know, The Miz wasn't what I call a British about Britain,
No.
and Cats wasn't about Britain. This is a show about our country.
It is. No, it's quite a serious moment for us, I think. And I think it's terribly hard to say because there are so few people writing and putting on new musicals, but it just might start a revival of the musical, because it's pretty dreary in London, isn't it? It's all jukebox musicals all the time.
Yeah, but some of them are good. I'm a big
Jersey
fan of
Boys is
Jersey
great.
Boys and Mamma
wonderful
Mia.
show.
They're great. They're
Well,
great
Jersey
fun.
Boys, we brought that one to you guys.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, I was in London over the summer, and you're walking around the West End, and you have a huge appetite for terrible shows. I mean,
I tell you, it's not us, baby. It's the public. I'm in despair.
Dirty Dancing.
Unlike New York. where we
Dirty
have-
Dancing is a massive hit there. I mean, I lasted about 20 minutes into it, and it goes and it goes, and you've got, as you say, the jukebox shows, and then you've got these shows that are based on reality television shows, because you're casting all of your leads on the West End. You know, Andrew Lloyd Webber's the judge, or Cameron McIntosh. But can you explain to me the audience in the West End that goes to these abominable things?
It's hen parties, basically, are doing
What do you
that.
call them?
Hen parties. Women coming in coaches.
But it's for a night out. They get
pissed
and-
on the Chardonnay and go and see Dirty Dancing, and there's an audience for that. But I mean, both West End and Broadway are about... We're sort of on the brink of apocalypse, possibly, at the moment. I mean, just how long is it going to last?
Yes, what's the economic situation like now for the theatre in London?
Well, it's not good. You know, there's a lot of shows in trouble. I mean, when you're paying, I don't know the dollar equivalent, but £50, £60 a ticket.
That's
About $100. We're about the same as you now.
Yeah,
about
four of you go,
$125
£240, dinner, transportation, a drink, a programme. We pay for programmes, we don't get them for nothing.
Right.
It's greed. There's a show coming next year called Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, the musical.
Yes, coming from Australia. I saw it in Sydney.
Top price tickets are £65. I think that's obscene.
That's $135, $140.
Yeah, and I'm attacking that price because I think it's too much and it puts people off.
We have something here that I find absolutely appalling. I don't know if you have it there. We have the premium price seats, which say, all right, if you want to sit in the best seats in the orchestra, you have to pay $250, which essentially says, Broadway is for rich people. If you don't have the money, we don't want you.
It's a scandal. And do you know what? They're going to catch a big cold because all these people have lost their jobs at the banking houses in your country. They're the ones who are paying that money.
That's right.
And they're not going to be able to pay. Those tickets will not be sold anymore.
Do you have that in London?
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do.
The premium
Yeah, we
seats?
do, sadly. There's a couple of shows that have them.
Really?
Yeah. Another case in point, Priscilla, which opens next year, they are charging, I think, what, £90 to £100 for premium seats. And people are paying that money.
But they won't be for long. I mean, as you say, these are the people who've lost their jobs for buying those seats.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing that's different about the ecology between our two theatres, of course, is that we've got, you know, the subsidised sector, and particularly the National Theatre, which is more or less
jewel in your
always
country.
good quality. I mean, it goes up and down a bit.
Yeah, you can always see something
I mean,
good.
I think it does mean that our theatre is strong, because we've got that and a very good sort of what the equivalent of off-Broadway. But I don't think that... I think what's going to happen is that these middling shows, which might have done 6 months to a year, will close very quickly.
Yes.
I think that's what's going to happen. But
Same thing's going to
Hairspray,
happen here.
I think something like Hairspray, which is quite new for us, that's exactly the kind of musical that people are going to want to see in these times, and that will continue to do well, I think.
Yes, it's doing very well.
And
The
we should
equivalent
just...
of things getting government money in this country, that's being just frozen and slashed. And
We never had the tradition, though, that you have in your country of really seriously government subsidies for...
But what little there is, it's being going way
But they're going to
down.
bail out the banks, they're going to bail out the
That's
auto
right.
industry, but not
But the
not
arts-
culture, which everyone
That's
has.
right.
That's interesting, isn't it? Well, now that says something about your society, in a way, doesn't it?
Charlie, you were going to say...
Well, I think actually, I mean, for the last 10 or 12 years, it's been a bit of a golden age for the arts in Britain, because Labour really have put money into it. And I think they will carry on doing that. It's going to be... But they may well be out of power next year. Whether the Conservatives will carry on, or we might go back to this sort of dark ages we had under Thatcher for a long time. And I speak as a Conservative, but her attitude to culture was appalling, I think.
She really was bent on slashing subsidies for your great institutions.
She hated the arts, really, because they were... I think she once said, why should we keep giving the National Theatre money when they keep on attacking me? And she couldn't get the idea that, you know, the whole point of arts is that it's about freedom of speech.
I wonder if she's seen Billy Elliot, which has the song Merry Christmas, Maggie Thatcher, it's one day closer to your death.
Well, actually, Elton John sort of doesn't want her to see it. Because although he wrote that
Well,
number.
doesn't she have Alzheimer's?
Yeah, he doesn't
Yeah.
want it because he doesn't want to see it. Although our Queen Elizabeth II, saw it and she liked the show.
Really?
I wonder why.
But it's going to be a terrible night when she dies, which is probably not going to be that long. And I mentioned this to Lee Hall last night. I said, "Are you going to cut that number? You know, on the actual night when
Lee Hall, who wrote Billy
Elliot, when she's announced?" And he said, "Absolutely not. We'll dedicate the show to her because she inspired this show."
That's right. He said the same thing to me. He's got his talking points down. All right, guys, you're in town now for a little while. What other shows have you seen, and can you give us your review of them?
Yeah,
Charlie, what have you started with?
I've only been to see a couple of shows so far. I'm here for another week, but I went to see Speed the Plough here,
Yes.
which is not nearly as good as the one we had at the Old Vic, I'm afraid.
The one you had starred Kevin Spacey and Jeff Goldblum, and that was one of them.
It was absolutely
terrific.
bliss.
And why does this one with Raoul Esparza and Jeremy Piven not
It hasn't
compare
got
so
the
well?
same energy. Watching it at the Old Vic, it was like watching two really great improvising jazzmen.
Yes.
Here, it's you never forget their acting, and they've also, I have to say, copied a couple of bits. They've stolen some business from Spacey, quite blatantly, I think.
Really? Who?
Yeah.
Jeremy Piven has stolen business from it?
Yeah. There's a bit where Spacey as Charlie Fox was doing workout exercises and doing press-ups and smoking at the same time, you see. And that's not in the stage directions, and that's now in this production as well.
Interesting. I might try and catch it, or maybe not.
But the other thing, it's probably not the sort of thing you discuss on this show, but I've been to Radio City Musical, as I always do when I come at this time of year to see the Christmas Spectacular there.
And that's your favourite show, isn't it?
I just love it. And the Rockettes are in fantastic form. And actually, we had the
I couldn't be
embarrassment...
paid to go and
Oh,
see.
it's
I'm sorry.
fantastic. You don't like popular culture, Baz.
I do like popular culture. I work for a popular newspaper, for heaven's sake. But there's popular and popular.
No, it's a fantastic show, and the Rockettes are great.
Who knew the fearsome Charlie Spencer is such a soft touch when it comes to the Rockettes?
No, I like ice shows as well.
I run a million miles away from such shows, but I did run very fast to see Farragut North downtown at the United
new
Theatre
play,
Company.
yeah. And what'd you
see,
think?
I'm suffering withdrawal symptoms over your election because I tell you, I was fascinated by the whole thing. You know, the McCain, Hillary Clinton, John Edwards, even all of them. I'm not sure about the Alaskan dimwit, but anyway. But anyway, this is
our viewers in Alaska. But Farragut North is a play about a primary race, a presidential campaign.
Yes, it is, and it's behind the scenes. It's about political treachery. Not so different from treachery in show business, actually.
Yes.
And in the theatre, which you know a lot about, Mr. Riedel. We read you in England on the internet.
Thank you very much.
His head will get bigger.
But this is a good play.
I personally think so, yeah. And a beautiful performances by Chris North and a young actor called John Gallagher Jr., who was in...
Oh, he was in Spring Awakening. He's
Yeah,
quite
Spring Awakening,
marvelous.
which is opening in London next year, and I shouldn't say this, but I wasn't crazy about the show, to be pretty honest with you. Spring Awakening, I liked the performances, but I wasn't crazy about the show. I'm wondering how it will do in London.
It'll be interesting to see.
Well, what's your sense of how Spring Awakening will do in London?
I liked it very much. I mean, I don't particularly like the play, but I thought as a musical it worked sensationally well. It's probably just a bit too dark to be a huge hit. I think it'll be a big success, their steam, but I don't think it'll be a great
It'll
commercial.
do well
It'll
in Hammersmith. I don't know whether it'll
it
come
might
into
do
the West
3
End.
months in the West End.
Now, Baz, I also have been told that you managed to sneak in to take a look at Shrek. Can you give us a sense of that show? Is it going to be as big a hit as, I don't know, The Lion King?
You're a very evil man, Riedel.
I don't mean to be leading you on, Baz.
Look, by the time it opens, they may have done all sorts of wonderful things to it, but it didn't really do that much for me. Look, it's a professionally competent show. Right. It looks fantastic. The costumes are excellent. But isn't that sad that I'm, exclaiming the costumes and the sets and what have you, but not the content? Right. And the performances are very good, but it didn't really do much for me. I have to feel things, Billy Elliot. I have to really be emotionally involved in some way. I didn't care for any of the characters, but maybe that show isn't. I'm of a certain age. I'm not 12.
All right, Charlie, let me ask you something, just a general issue about being a critic and having to deal with shows like Little Mermaid and Shrek and Mary Poppins. My feeling is we should just consign these things to the kids' pages of the newspapers. Are they really worth your intellect, your good writing to spend on a musical version of Shrek?
Absolutely. And I think I'll review anything that moves, basically.
And that's true.
I really will. And I think you've got to say that, the things that, I mean, otherwise we might not have reviewed The Lion King. That was a kids' show.
Yeah.
It came straight out of a cartoon, and it was one of the greatest nights I've ever spent in a theatre. I will never forget the moment when those animals came down.
Yeah.
And also these are the gateways into the theatre for the next generation coming up. I think it's crucial we review them. I really do. And I think Mary Poppins didn't get very good reviews here, but I think it was a very enjoyable show, Mary Poppins, certainly in London.
Yeah, I thought Richard did a great job, and it's beautifully staged and choreographed.
And I think it was slightly patronised here, but I think we should review everything. I mean, also, because it's very important for us to weed out the crap.
Yeah.
It really is. And there's no point in just saying, well, we're not going to go and do, say, Dirty Dancing. But the awful thing about some of my colleagues, I was away on holiday when that opened, but a lot of my colleagues gave it 4 stars, and this is what really scared me.
Maybe it's not the quality of the show; it's the quality of the critics.
But there's a good point about whether the critics should. I'm not a critic. I'm a sort of show business columnist, but I'm growing wary of some of these shows that are really aimed at, 2- or 3-year-olds.
Well, what else have you seen?
Little Mermaid was terrible.
Yes,
it really was. I mean, it was just the way the sets were all made of plastic. Just sort of summed it up, I thought.
And it's still running.
I know, it's still running.
Sets by Saran Wrap.
If you run something like The Little Mermaid that we agree is bad, but then you bus in all these kids to go, isn't that really sort of deranging the minds of a whole generation of young
there's plenty
people?
else to derange them, isn't there?
At the same time,
I think there's worse things. At least it's harmless, The Little Mermaid, not like some of these video games.
If going to the theatre becomes a habit for kids, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's all right.
So even though if it's all
listen, I mean, I can't be, I've forgotten the kind of awful shows I got taken to as a child. I hate pantos as a result, but it got me to love the theatre ultimately.
We should say pantos are those very strange cultural thing that you have where
men dress as women
and do Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. That's a part of England that hasn't transferred to America.
What do you mean?
have a great play for grown-ups here. The August Osage County, the Tracy Letts play, which is opening at the National
that'll do very well.
I hope it does well. How do you think it'll do, Charlie? Have you seen
I think it'll do very well. I saw it here. It's a fantastic play.
It's a great play.
Really entertaining.
Great play. And talks a lot about your country and what's happening.
Yeah. What else
with
have
a
you
light
seen?
touch. That's about all I've seen so far. I mean, I saw Osage County last time I was here. I'm going to, and I saw the Sondheim.
Please tell us. Let's just preface this by saying this is the musical that was called Wise Guys
and
Bounce and Gold, and it was first directed by Sam Mendes, then it was directed by Hal Prince, and now it's been directed by John Doyle at the Public Theatre.
And it's Roadshow.
And now it's called Roadshow, and is it any good?
Well, it's all right, but that's not really good enough, is it, when it's Stephen Sondheim? And it's been 10 years in the making, and it's never going to make it to Broadway. Or if it does make it to Broadway, I don't think it will be a hit. And you just feel that this is an old man's play, and he's recycling old themes, and there is nothing... I think every successful musical has that take-home moment, doesn't it? Something that you cherish and you remember. I think Billy Elliot is actually full of them. This has got nothing. It's another play about the American dream, about making it rich, striking gold.
But the dream is hollow.
The dream is hollow, and oh dear, and a lot of minor key melodies and dissonance and. John Doyle is a lovely man, and they did a very good Sweeney both here and on Broadway.
Sweeney Todd,
but this is no Sweeney Todd.
But isn't it wonderful that old man is still trying to do something instead of sitting home and
he's still a vital person in the theatre.
Yeah, I think it's great he keeps going.
Yeah.
Are you going to catch the Seagull, Charles?
Well, I saw it in London. And
but it's kind of different here. It's a wider stage than the Royal Court Theatre, of course, and Christian Scott Thomas's performance has grown richer.
Yes, I would like to see that. Yeah.
And very importantly, there's Peter Sarsgaard.
You're going to come away with me, yes? You're not going to abandon me? I have no will of my own.
Oh, that's a wonderful production. Yeah. And you should see Dividing the Estate.
Oh, right.
Martin Foote.
Oh, where's that?
At the booth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just a few more minutes left. For the first time in a long time, Americans can actually afford to go to London.
We can't come here anymore.
Oh, do tell.
The pound, which used to be £2 for
it's
$1,
plummeting.
when I was there in July, I mean, I thought, I've got to get out of this country, I'm going to be bankrupt. But now the pound has gone down, so it's very possible that some of our viewers who love the theater will be going over to London to take advantage of a strong dollar. What should they be seeing over there, Charlie?
Well, if they get over quick, there's a fantastic production of The Norman Conquests by Alan Ayckbourn.
Yeah, it's a wonderful play.
This is 3 plays, all set during the same weekend in 3 different locations. I ought to say that Ayckbourn is sort of our equivalent of Neil Simon, but I think 10 times better than Neil Simon. And it's 6. You see the same 6 characters, and you follow them through these 3 plays through the same fraught weekend, and it's all set in the 70s. Beautiful period feel, fantastically acted, and a really, really great day at the theatre. Or you can see it on over 3 nights.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Terrific.
I'd say go and see Ivanov if it's still running, or 12th Night is the play after.
And these are the ones being done by the Don Bar.
Yeah,
on
Derek
the West End.
Jacobi is in 12th Night.
Yes, he'll be
isn't
playing
he?
Malvolio, and I think will be extraordinarily good, probably.
Charlie, what David Hare, a writer whom I admire, and I know you've admired his work in the past. We both like
Bits
Stuff
of it.
Happens.
Yeah.
Bits of it. He's got a new play out in London now that was much anticipated because it's about the Tony Blair administration. What's it called?
Gethsemane.
Gethsemane.
Yeah.
And is David Hare's play any good?
It didn't do it for me. Baz, I think, thinks differently.
I liked it.
It suddenly felt... Poor old David Hare, this play was announced a year ago. The National's been very slow putting it on. Tony Blair's gone. Gordon Brown's now in charge, sort of man of... you may whatever you think of him, he seems to be a man of stern moral rectitude. And suddenly the whole climate's changed in England. This is all about, you know, people with more money than sense and dodgy dealing with donors and things. It suddenly feels terribly old-fashioned.
But you say the Conservatives may come back, and so it can be
I
very
may.
I disagree with that, Charles, because essentially at its heart it's about political manipulation, which we always have, and political scandal, which we always have. So I disagree with that. There will always be some rich git who will try and sort of, get his jollies out of bucking the political system.
No,
so I kind of disagree with that point, Charles.
I just suddenly found with this play that I'm getting a bit bored by David Hare lecturing me in that sort of amused, condescending tone of voice and telling me what to think, with a little sort of wry smile on his face. I've had enough of him, I think.
I quite like it. It amuses me. See, but I like political plays, you see. I like it.
Well, I like political plays. I don't know, I've just got a bit of a thing about David Hare. I've had enough of it for a bit. I'd like a holiday from David Hare.
Give it a rest, David Hare. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, because I like you. I like his plays, and I like the fact that, year in and year out, he seems to be tackling a current political issue.
One
we
thing
do
I will
not
say-
have a writer like that in this country who does
well,
that.
we don't have any other quite like him. I mean, he will do a play on each year, more or less at least one a year, on a serious theme, and we have not got many writers like that. So I respect him for keeping on ploughing the furrow, but just occasionally I'd like to disagree.
Yeah,
with
because there are too many revivals, aren't there? And you were talking earlier about these shows featuring people who've been on TV talent shows.
Yeah, your reality show.
I can't stand them. I mean, I haven't spoken to Andrew Lloyd Webber or Cameron McIntosh for about a year because I savage these shows.
Yes, I know you did.
I really can't stand them. I mean, my poor wife. I mean, she sort of try and hide the TV so I wouldn't watch them because my blood would boil. But I mean, the idea that these people who have no talent are going to go into a West End show to replace people who have trained to sing, trained to act, and these people have no charisma. Charles, do you think?
Oh, they did that here with
This
Grease.
was Joseph, and this was Sound of Music.
I quite liked the Sound of Music one.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that you did. I couldn't believe that your colleagues did either.
He likes the Rockettes.
I was outraged that you all gave this terrible, terrible, terrible woman 4 stars.
Well,
I
you want to
couldn't
become a
believe
critic,
it.
Baz. I've actually enjoyed the
couldn't believe
programme.
it.
What I can't bear is it's now become what happens in England, and it's the same here. Once they hit on a formula, they flog it to death. I mean, I thought it had a certain novelty value with the Sound of
that's
Music.
capitalism.
But then we had Joseph, then we had Grease,
And
now we've got
Oliver.
Oliver. I wish...
Oliver, oh dear.
Can I
Yes.
have some more, please? No, thank you.
All right, on that.
On that bombshell there.
Before you close out, darling, I just want to say that please, viewers, email me the name of American writers who write political plays year after year, because I know that they're
There aren't
out
any.
there.
They're not
They
there.
just
And
don't get
I would like
publicity.
to see them because
Yes.
I mean, this young man who's written the
Farragut North, maybe.
Farragut
That's
North,
right.
he's one to
But
watch.
I think
I think on the whole, playwriting for the last 10 years or so has been stronger in your country than in ours.
I think that's true, and I think that's probably a lot of it is down to the funding we were talking about earlier.
The national place like the National Theatre, right? Charlie Spencer from the Daily Telegraph and Baz Bamigboye from the Daily Mail. Thanks so much for being our guests tonight on Theatre Talk.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure.
It's fun.
Thank you. Anytime.
And I didn't mean Charles, I didn't mean to have a go.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Maggie Thatcher, may God's love be with you. We all sing together in one breath. Oh, Merry Christmas, Maggie Thatcher, we all celebrate today.